So with PUBG hitting 3 million concurrent players, I'm sure there's a lot of you that want to jump on that bandwagon. You have two routes that you can go now. You can go on the PC or you can go on the Xbox. Obviously, the right choice is PC. It is the best platform for gaming on every game. PC Master Race. Never going to let that go. But this game is super intensive and it is the new crisis of our day. Will your PC run PUBG? If you're not into PC gaming, then probably not. But if you want to get into PC gaming, you have a tight budget, well, I'm here to help. To build a budget PC this cheap, we're going to have to go used and we're going to have to go pre-built to get started. So take yourself over to eBay.com and type in i5 2400 PC. Now this is if you want the i5 version. There are i7 versions if you want to spend more money, but the i5 2400 is a perfect budget CPU for what we need. And the amount of PCs under this category is ridiculous. You can pick up old workstations very, very cheap. Now don't forget to check Craigslist and local yard sales. You might have a company that just went out of business that's looking to offload all of their old PCs. Or you might have somebody that bought one of these PCs when it was brand new for hundreds and hundreds of dollars and they're looking to just get rid of it now. And you might be able to pick them up even cheaper than I did here. For a lot of you people that are overseas that don't have eBay, this is probably going to be your best bet. Next up is going to be the graphics card. Now this is going to be a very important part of the build because we want one that is cheap and effective and will do the job. But it doesn't have to be top of the line because we can always just swap this out later. It's not as hard to swap out a graphics card like it is to do a CPU or something like that. So I went with something old, yet the best at its time, which is a GTX 580. This is the predecessor to the what we know now as the 1080. Obviously the 5 indicating that it was like 5 generations old, but it was top of the line back in the day. And that's what's important when buying a used graphics card is you don't want to buy a used graphics card that's the same tier as something that you could like afford now. So I got like a 1060 in my current build. I don't want to go with a 5.6. That wouldn't be able to handle this game and it wouldn't hold up as well over time. Now after watching eBay auctions for the past couple weeks, I was able to eventually come across this deal for a Dell Vostro 460 SFF. Which has everything I want in it. The Intel i5 2400, 8 gigabytes of RAM, and it has a really small hard drive, but that's not that big of a deal. That's pretty easy to replace. And I was able to pick up this steel for only $125 free shipping, which is excellent. And I was able to pick up my GTX 580 locally for about 35 bucks. Now, if your pre-built system comes with a strong enough power supply, this is where you can stop buying parts because that's all you need. All you have to do is undo a couple of the disk drives. Mine came with 2 CD-ROM drives. So I just took both of those out and that freed up 2 SATA power cables, which I was able to find this adapter on Amazon. Came in a 2-pack for $8 and it's a SATA power to a 8-pin connector. And my power supply already had a 6-pin connector and that's what I need to power the GTX 580 is an 8-pin and a 6-pin. So if your power supply was 500 watts, right here is where you can stop. Mine was able to boot up, but once the graphics card utilization went up, the system just shut down. It didn't have enough power to power it because my power supply was only 350 watts at max wattage, which is nowhere near enough. Luckily, on Black Friday, when I saw this 450 watt power supply for only $15 on Amazon, I swooped on it because I thought that might be the case. And if you missed out on the deals on Black Friday, don't worry. Newegg almost always is offering mail-in rebates on their PSUs. So if you buy one for 40 bucks and it comes with a $20 mail-in rebate, you're only paying $20 for the power supply. It's a little bit more effort. You have to send in the barcode and whatnot, but I save a lot of money on Newegg by doing those mail-in rebates, and it's really worth it. But now that I have all the necessary parts, it's time to put this PC together. And unfortunately, when you're building inside of one of these pre-built computers, they don't think that you're going to be throwing in a 12 or 14 or 16-inch graphics card in there. So you might have some drive bays that get in the way. I was very fortunate that mine also came with this little hard drive slot underneath the disk drive bays. So I was able to just slide mine in right there. And then after taking the computer case out to the garage and suggesting that those hard drive bays go away, I was able to get them removed. And now the graphics card was able to slide right in. Looking around the case, I noticed that the front vents were actually very big, bigger than the ones on my gaming case. So I looked at the front of the case on the inside and it was mesh grill. It looked like a fan was meant to be there to pull in some fresh cold air. But there was a few little dimples in the way that I had to just drill out real quick. So after I made that modification, I was able to screw a fan right on in the front. So now I have a 120 mil fan at the front intaking cold air and the 80 mil fan at the rear exhausting hot air, which is going to bring this case really good airflow in a very small package. And here she is in all her glory. But the most important question by far is, will it run PUBG? That's what this whole video was about, right? Surprisingly, yes. It runs PUBG very, very well. Now, this test was done with a 1366 by 768 monitor because that's all I had on hand that wasn't already hooked up to a computer. But to kind of test how it would be with a 1080p monitor, I boost the screen scale up to 120, which will give it roughly a 1080p resolution. With that, I put everything on very low except for anti-aliasing, which I put on low, and post-processing, which I also had on low. With these settings, I was able to get a pretty smooth 60 plus FPS gameplay. Very, very playable, no marshmallow textures, very few stutters. After running my Fraps benchmark, it came up with these numbers. I had an average frame rate of 63, a minimum of 35, and a maximum of 76. To me, that is very good for a $175 PC and honestly cannot be beat. But those are just numbers. The most important part is, how do those numbers translate to game feel? How does it feel to play? Is it smooth? Is it enjoyable? And although I've only played just 2 quick solo matches, I would say that it was extremely enjoyable and actually made me upset with how much money I spent on my computer to get it to run PUBG this good. Honestly, I could have saved myself hundreds of dollars and just built a PC just like this and I would have been fine. Now, I don't know how it would run with streaming and playing the game. I'm sure then it would start to suffer, but who knows? I'll have to do some more tests in the future, and this PC will be coming back and getting some more upgrades later on. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I plan on making a lot more like it. I love playing PC games, but I definitely love building PCs more than anything. So if you guys like this video, please make sure to hit like. If you guys have any suggestions on what I should try to build next, or any type of constructive criticism to help me edit these videos to where they're more enjoyable for you, please leave them in the comment sections down below. Just don't be a jerk. But thank you guys so much for watching. This has been Spiff, and I'm out. Peace.